Hey, Chad.
Hey, Mike.
Why did the coffee file a police report?
I'm going to stop you for just a second. Laura and I like to tell Laffy Taffy jokes, which is not much different than dad jokes.
Yeah.
But I like to actually try to think about why.
Yeah.
But I got nothing. So, Mike, why did the coffee file a police report?
It got mugged. It might have had creamer or not. I'm not sure.
I've got coffee in a mug.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. So, yeah. Did you hear the news?
What news?
Apparently Elon Musk is an alien.
He's been an alien.
I know,
You've
but
been telling
I am
me that
pretty much
forever.
convinced at this point because, yeah, he's pretty much just saying, I'm creating self-driving cars and they're going to be awesome and everybody else is a bunch of dummies.
True. Let's talk about that.
Let's do.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lunchtime Tech Talk. I'm Chad.
I'm Mike.
And yeah, today we're talking about Musky Musk.
Yeah, Tesla. This is crazy. Like, okay, so there are several levels of self-driving cars.
Yes, there are.
It's so weird that we're even talking about this. It trips me up that we're talking about vehicles that are self-driving because I don't feel like this is something that should really be happening. I mean, what's your take on it? Do you feel like this is reality? Like, we know somebody here at our office that has a Tesla that can do a form of auto driving, autopilot, self-driving.
The threes do have some self-driving
Oh,
stuff?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I
All
thought
of
it
them
was
have.
just the X and...
No. All of them do. And I'll get to, down the road here, why all of them do.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Okay.
So...
Well, so you asked me if I believe it. So...
What do you think about it?
We're both roughly the same age. We're 80s and 90s kids. Like, we grew up with the Jetsons. We were supposed to have flying cars. Blah, 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 blah. Now, personally, I'm glad we don't have flying cars. People are stupid with their wheels on the ground cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just drive wherever they want and don't pay attention and crash into people all the time.
Right.
Could you imagine if you were just zipping around the sky with no highways? I mean, like, you could just... Like, at least with roads, we have some defined direction we're supposed to be heading. If you were just able to move about the sky however you wanted, it'd be a nightmare.
I'd be dead for sure.
There'd be crashes, and then those cars would fall onto buildings, and then the buildings would burn down, and then you've got Notre Dame all over again.
It's just, it's insane.
So,
I'm glad we're not the Jetsons.
with flying cars as the starting point, hell no, I'm not surprised that we have cars that drive themselves, but...
Really? I am shocked by this.
It almost, man, we just keep coming back to this Mandela effect, but it almost seems like to me, like I remember being a kid and not, or a young person, and not ever thinking about, hey, I wonder if cars could drive themselves, but like...
Did you make that noise?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were a gangster back in the day. Yeah, that's the isn't that like a Dick Tracy thing? Like,
oh, you know what it is to
see?
me? Cartoon Network or MTV had a cartoon on when George W. Bush was president called Little Bush.
Mm-hmm.
And Lil Dick Cheney
Yeah.
never spoke. He just went rah, rah, rah. And
right.
so that's my rah, rah, rah.
All right.
Anyway, like, I don't remember ever thinking about it. And then, like, all of a sudden, it's just, like, part of the zeitgeist and part of what's going on. And now that self-driving cars are a thing, like, I've gone back and watched documentaries about kind of the first steps in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And having driving competitions out in the desert where the things couldn't go between two barricades and exit a box. Like, they couldn't figure anything out.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 years later, they're driving obstacle courses.
Right.
But, like, I didn't know about that happening at the time, so to me it feels like we didn't have them, they weren't even being discussed, and then here they are.
There you go.
Right.
Driving down the road.
Right.
Yeah, it's nuts. So I guess there's like 5 levels of driving automation.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think this was like I don't know if this is brought up by like the self-driving car club or
sure.
if this is a government thing, like, hey, these are the levels of automation that you have to be, you have to be at this to be at this level, and to get to this level, we have to certify it. And I don't know how all that works, but there's 5 accepted levels of automation. 0 is no automation.
That's me.
Yep, that's you and me. We drive it. We're fully responsible for where the vehicle goes, how fast it goes.
Okay.
Level 1 is driver assisted. This is where the vehicle is controlled by the driver, but some of the driving features are taken care of by the car. I believe this means like cruise control.
I was just going to say, is that cruise control?
Yes, that's pretty much what we have.
So I have a level 1 automated car.
I'm assuming that you do.
Look at me. I have an automated car and I didn't even know it.
Yes. High fives.
Yes. I am crushing it
you
today.
are in the future. Welcome to the future. Level 2 is partial automation. This is where vehicle has combined automated functions like acceleration, steering, but the driver must remain engaged with it. So, for instance, most of the Teslas, like our coworkers here, it is a level 2 automation.
Okay.
He has to have his hands on the steering wheel. He doesn't have to drive it. He just has to have pressure on the wheel. It can sense it. And he has to be able to signal when this thing can turn.
Okay.
So
him using this turn signal is what causes it to switch lanes?
Whenever he puts the turn signal on, cameras and sensors will go berserk and make sure that there's nothing in its way. And whenever there is, the steering wheel will turn. His hands will still need to be on it, and then they'll go back.
That's crazy.
This is designed, like the Teslas at this level are designed for highway use. They're not designed for city use. So that's where a lot of people, I think, assume that if you get a Tesla back a year or two ago, that it could drive in the city and you wouldn't have to do anything. That's not really what it would do, because it didn't, at that level, it doesn't know like stoplights, stop signs, all that stuff.
Sure. I want to go back one step.
Go back.
I think, do you know about EyeSight by Subaru?
No.
So Subaru has something that mounts up on your windshield as part of the roof behind your rearview mirror that looks out the windshield at the road.
Yeah.
So when we were talking about, it doesn't drive for you at all. But what it can do is, in a city situation, you can set your cruise control at 35. And as you're coming up to a stoplight and the car in front of you is slowing down, you will slow down.
You will slow down.
All the way to a stop.
Yeah, it's like adaptive cruise control.
Yeah, and when that car takes off, you will take off without having to use the gas or brake. But you're absolutely still driving the car.
Yeah, I
wonder if that
is probably in a level 2. That's probably in there because not
level 1.
No, because a level 1 is going to be like, it's going to be some driving assisted features.
Okay.
It might be considered a level 1, but a level 2 actually can control acceleration.
So
it might be considered level 2, but it might not be fully level 2.
Sure. So
I don't know if there's like
that's where your certification
1.5. So this level 2 is basically where the Teslas were. Recently they came up with a pretty major update where it can steer itself. Like basically you set a destination on a highway and it could exit and enter and merge and all this stuff on the highway, right?
Yes. Now I want to ask a question while we're going through this. So years ago, I remember when they were like coming up with the technology for self-driving cars, what I had heard was that there would be strips inserted into major highways and interstates, and basically you would be like a rail car. And your car's, something under your car would read that stripping. Yeah. And like when you got to the designated exit, it would pull you off on the exit, and then your car would just sit there until you like took over driving again.
Yeah.
So in this case, where you're saying where Tesla was, they could make turns and stuff for you? Like, would it just pull you off on the exit ramp and then
it would
stop, or would it just ding and go crazy until
you would have to
the
take
wheel?
control?
Okay.
Like it would alert you that you need to take control or whatever, and it'll still do that. Like if it can't figure out the situation, that's why they want your hands on it,
right?
So you can take control of it. That's where the partial automation thing comes in.
Okay.
I think this recent update that happened, not the announcement, but the actual update, is this level 3, which is conditional automation. Basically, level 3 is the driver is necessary, but it's not required to monitor the environment. The driver just must be ready to take control of the vehicle at all times with notice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it can now merge onto the highway. It can pass people without you having to signal. So if it senses, hey, I'm coming up on this person pretty quick, there's nobody in the lane next to me, I'm going to go ahead and merge and then pass them. Level 4 is high automation. This is where the vehicle is capable of performing all driving functions under certain conditions. The driver may have the option to control the vehicle. So a level 4 is what you're going to see a lot of these, like, you know, those vans that you see on the internet that have like LiDAR all over them. They have this LiDAR system, which basically is shooting lasers throughout the environment to detect what's around it. It's almost like it's mapping an image of everything around it.
Yeah.
Level 5, which is where Tesla wants to get, is full automation. This is where the vehicle is capable of performing all driving functions. The driver doesn't even have to be in the car. You could summons this thing from your work if you're at your house. Like, you know what, my wife, I'm gonna let this car take my wife to work, and then I want it to come back to me, and I want to be able to use it.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Level 5 is crazy. So
also Batman.
Yes, yeah, you can summon your vehicle. Yeah, it's nuts. So that's where they're wanting to go. So right now it looks like Tesla's at a level 2 with some level 3 functionality. But they just came out with an announcement. It was like their stockholder, they called it, I want to say they called it like Autopilot Day or something. I can't remember what they called it, but it was basically this big announcement of this like computer system that they basically came up with themselves. It's this insanely small, inexpensive computer system that they came up with that can now process like 2,300 images a second, where their computer that they had in their system before was only processing around 100 to 110 images a second. This thing is insanely fast.
That is crazy. That's a crazy amount of growth from one version to the next.
What shocked me about it is if you go and you watch this event, even if you watch like the highlight reels, Elon Musk and the people who developed this basically are both saying like, how did we do this? You know, if anybody would have asked you where we would be at this point, we would have never predicted that we would be at this level.
Right.
But what's nuts about it is the camera systems and all the stuff that actually that are in the car, minus this computer, have been in the cars since 2016. So if you have a Tesla that was made in 2016 or later, you have all of the technology you need to be able to be a fully automated car, except for this computer. And I think you can upgrade to this computer system.
Oh, nice.
So basically, this computer system, they're expecting to be able to be completely self-driving this year. In 2019.
This 1/3 over year.
Yeah. They're saying that the vehicles that you buy with this computer system and the software that we have in beta will be released in 2019, and you'll be able to use your Model S, your Model 3, and your Model X, and I imagine the Model Y whenever that comes out, because that's 2021 or 2020. Right. But you'll be able to basically use this feature.
And this is which level?
This is complete automation.
5.
5. Like,
That's nutty.
It's really crazy. So you're sitting here thinking, you're like, how do they do this? What happens if you have roads without lines? What happens if you have roads that have cars parked next to it? What happens if you have, one example they had, a car with a bike on the back of it? Like, what does their computer do? What does it see? How does it know that this car with this bike on the back of it is still a car? Right. And it's got a bike on the back of it. Don't hit the bike. Don't hit the car.
Right.
Or one example they gave is a truck on a truck on a truck. You know, where you got those semis where they've got a truck on it and then they got another truck. It's like they're saying, what do we do in these situations?
Yeah, so we've talked about this with video games before. How you just like mask over a character or whatever with a different drawing of a character. So like I gotta think. I know it's taking pictures and processing that, but like the data going in has got to just be boxes, right?
Well, what they do is essentially it all started out with like human intervention. And they would literally have images and they would make it find the car, and they draw a box or a shape around it. And then they would have the lines where the road goes, and they would annotate where that would go. And they have this thing called a neural network. So if you're familiar with like computers and neural networks, basically they're trying to emulate like a human brain where it can teach itself. Kind of this whole AI thing.
And machine learning and all that. Yeah.
We just hope that Siri's not the one that's actually controlling the vehicles. We're all hosed.
Right. We're all hosed if Siri's doing it.
Siri, take me to McDonald's. Okay. Drives you off a cliff.
Right. There's a McDonald's across the ocean in a straight line from here, I promise.
Siri enable boat mode. This car doesn't have boat mode. Don't care. I'll look that up on the web for you. Poor Siri. We dragged her. We keep dragging her in the weeds.
Because we're out on a run this week, and we're talking about our run on Saturday, and you asked your watch, Siri, what's the weather going to be like on Saturday? And she's like, fuck you, Mike. I don't know, because I can only look at hourly information when you don't have your phone around.
Yeah, that was a complete fail.
Complete and utter failure.
And if I was with anybody else, like somebody I really didn't know, I'd be like, wow, this is embarrassing. I tried to sell you on this technology and it flopped.
I get it though.
But yeah, so basically they're feeding this neural network all of these different images, all of these different scenarios.
And in the beginning, they've got humans that are saying, this is what we're looking for.
Right.
And then eventually it knows what it's looking for.
And so remember how I told you 2016 cars, Model S, Model X, Model 3.
The sex cars. Not the sexy cars.
It's the
just the sex cars.
Yeah, just the sex cars. They have cameras on them. And apparently these things have been, monitoring this stuff, gathering this data up, and giving it back to Tesla. Which
How many cars are out there?
Well, a lot of cars.
A lot.
But the miles is what is impressed me. So 70 million miles of autopilot information. This is 70 million miles of the cars doing level 2 driving. So they have all these images, and so whenever the human interacted with the vehicle, that was captured.
Of course.
And
why did you interact?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they would send it back up. And the cool thing was like they'd be like, oh, okay. So one of the examples I gave was like, okay, this picture was in a tunnel. Why did this
freak out?
And they would go back through and they would look at the images and they would look at the sensory data. And then once they figured it out, they could also take that information and run it through this like complicated simulator, which showed the environment around them on a computer screen, almost like a video game. And it showed all of the different scenarios that the car was thinking about doing. So the car's not capturing just the data that you interacted with and what it was doing at the time. It's like, hey, I had 10 other things that I was going to do, but then I decided, you know what, none of them felt good, so I'm aborting, and the user took control. But then they take that information, right? They say, okay, this happened in a tunnel. Let's gather all the information of all the cars that we can have in this group whatever group they're pulling from, and what happened when they went through a tunnel, or what happened when somebody else went through the same tunnel. Was it the tunnel that caused it? And they would then figure it out, and then they would send it into the neural network, and the neural network would say, yay, I learned. And then it would just continue learning based off of that.
You guys can't see me, but I have such a huge smile on my face. This is the kind of stuff that I geek out about.
It's
like, that's so cool.
It's nuts. This is why I'm like, yep, he's an alien. Because this is insane. I can't even wrap my head around how somebody would build this.
I'm gonna go down a dark path for just a second.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. We would agree that loss of human life is awful.
Yes.
Yes, all in agreement. Yay. Okay. So you remember, this has been a few years ago, but there was a guy driving a Tesla in auto drive mode, and a semi pulled across the highway slowly.
Yeah, the dude, wasn't he watching Harry Potter?
He wasn't paying attention. That's all I remember. I don't know what he was doing.
Okay.
But what ended up happening was the car read the semi as one of those over-the-road, very large, like, exit signs, instead of reading it as a semi-truck, right? And so
I shouldn't laugh. That's terrible.
No, it's awful. But it's thinking that, okay, I've seen this before, a very large, rectangular, flat object above the road.
Yeah.
This is fine. We're just going to drive under it. Well, when they drove under it, guy lost his head.
Whoops.
And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, that's awful. This is the first Tesla accident I've heard of, which doesn't mean that there aren't others, but it's the first one that I remember hearing about. And what Elon Musk ended up saying when he talked about it was, of course, we're going to keep going on with our program. He wasn't paying attention, and he was supposed to be, which, victim blaming's not great. But what he said was, for the number of hours that Tesla had logged with auto driving, their rate of a deadly crash was like a fraction of what the U.S. national average is. So, for every 100,000 hours, you can expect however many fatalities, and they were like far out exceeding it.
Right.
Which means, even though, yes, this person died, and people die in car crashes every day. All the time. Even though this person died, like, we're still potentially saving lives.
Yeah.
Because our rate of incident is lower than an actual human driving.
Yeah.
That's great. And now it's getting even better.
Right. It's getting even better. So, speaking of humans and accidents, cars and bicycles seem to collide every so often.
Yes, they do.
And some of the times you can find out that the driver was not paying attention, not texting, or the cyclist was all over the place. I mean, it can be either or's fault, right? In situations. But I watched a Tesla autopilot video once, and this is, I'm assuming, whenever it was level 2, because level 3-ish, I guess, just came out. And it actually tracked the bike rider and didn't pass the bike rider until it was capable of getting over safely around the bike rider.
That's awesome.
And you could see, like, where the bike rider was captured around a little square, and it was tracking it, and it was keeping a safe distance. It slowed down. The driver didn't have to intervene at all. And when it was safe, passed it and went on. Like, that is super cool.
It's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of, like, biological programming behind some of the bicycle incidents. We're both cyclists.
Yeah, we're kind of biased.
But I want to know, why am I at so much more risk of being hit as a bicyclist? And a lot of times, like, stuff happens where, like, people don't see a bicyclist and they literally pull out into them, right?
You just don't see them.
You literally, though, don't see them.
Yeah, you're driving this vehicle, and you've got A-pillars, and you've got back pillar. I don't know.
But it has nothing to do with blind spots. Your brain does not allow you to see them.
Oh, okay.
Because of biological, through the years. We're in this big, huge thing, and we're looking for other big, huge things. Oh. When you take that literal half a second to glance right, half a second to glance left, and you don't see some huge thing coming towards you,
Yeah.
you just go.
It's probably the same with motorcycles. That's why
It's
you
the
always
exact
see
same
that
thing.
look twice bumper sticker.
Yes,
because
it's
they're
the
small.
same thing. And so I've gotten to where I consciously do it in my neighborhood. I'm trying to do it everywhere.
Yeah.
But I try to look right, not glance right.
Yeah.
Not, is it, like I try to look, and I don't just look down the road, like I purposely look down the sidewalk. And I'm really trying to do that because I realize that it's not people being careless, and it's not people in a hurry, and it's not people hating bikes. Like, you're literally not being seen.
Yeah.
You're invisible.
Well, that's an interesting thing.
Car doesn't ignore you, though.
Well, yeah, exactly. And with this new computer, they talked about a lot of predictive stuff. And so if you're at a stoplight, most of the self-driving stuff is just looking at what's in front of you to accelerate, right?
Sure.
But with the way that their camera system is set up and the way that this car can now process the imagery around it, it can detect things and all 365 degrees, and it can predict what that thing is going to do and make a decision off of it. So if you're sitting at a stoplight and all of a sudden somebody starts walking across the crossway, but it's not in your lane, but it sees the motion coming towards you, and it's a person, a bike, or whatever, it's going to make a decision to not go.
Right.
Because it's going to predict that person's going to go in front of you, even if your light is green.
Right. They're going to predict it's going to stay on the same path.
Yeah. And so that's one of the big advantages of this new computer system that they've got in there, is that it can do a lot of this prediction. So there was part of the demo that they gave was predicting curves. So you go down a twisty road. Like, self-driving on a mountain road sounds terrifying, because if you got a cliff on one side, like, well, I need to be in control.
And a wall of rock on the other side.
But the computer system can accurately predict what is going to be next to it based off of the angle of the curve that it's predicting in the environment around it. And it's pretty spot on. They showed the demo of it going through this windy, twisty thing. It's crazy.
That'd make a trip down to Arkansas better, because you don't have to worry about accelerating and slowing down and making the curve and all that. Yeah,
do it for you.
Just take me.
That'd be so awesome. But yeah, this stuff is pretty cool. But where is this all leading?
What does it all mean, Basil?
So this is the craziest thing. Whenever I heard Elon Musk announce this, I was just like, holy crap, this is where this is heading. So he predicts that this software will be out and ready for use at the end of this year, right? 2020, they're going to have pending regulation approval. They got to get approval for this. They're going to have what they call Robotaxi. So you buy a $50,000 Model 3, right? So you only drive it
I
for...
already know where you're going.
I don't know, maybe 10 hours a week. Let's just say you drive it for 10 hours a week. Other than that, it sits in this parking lot at work, not moving, or it sits in your driveway at home, not moving, not doing anything.
Right.
You can sign up for this Robotaxi service. So
it's Uber with me still not having to drive the car.
You don't drive the car, you make money.
That's great.
So you have this $50,000 car that has the potential, he said, to make up to $30,000 a year.
That's insane. So Vegas and another city in Colorado have automated buses.
Oh.
Not like 35-foot city buses. Think like 15 passenger van. But with bus style seating. Right? So low platform, really open concept, but like they just have a set route that they're running. And then there's a person on board that's not a driver, but is more of like a liaison, like a customer service person. They make sure that
you want some coffee, you want some tea, how about a
I don't
scrumpet?
know about that, but like They make sure that there's nothing shady going on. There's nothing.
Well, it is Vegas.
Well.
You got the dude on there.
It's also Colorado.
Cards. Oh, it's Colorado too. Okay.
Yeah, but they
Vegas
make sure that
stretches really far. I didn't realize I went to Colorado.
Make sure there's no fights and that sort of thing. You know, because you still want someone on there.
What happens on Fight Bus stays on Fight Bus.
But yeah, there's a lot of advancements being made.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of Robotaxi because here's the thing. I've thought about Uber.
Mm-hmm.
I've also thought about at different points in my married life, I've thought about like delivering pizzas in the evening. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, all of those things require more of my time.
Yeah.
That I'm unwilling to give.
Right.
At a rate less than what I make during the day when I'm at work.
Yeah. What if you're sitting at work and you can be like making money?
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how much you make an hour because you're not doing anything.
And here's the thing. It's not like a car sharing program, right? You're not letting some stranger get behind the wheel of the car because during this process, it's going to stay in an automated mode.
Right.
So...
Now, they could be in your car, like, riding all over your dashboard.
They could, but there is a camera.
Nice.
That people questioned why that camera was inside the cars.
And that's why.
And it's got a little cover thingy, but... I don't know how that works. Like, can they just like cover it? Does the car just shut down? Like, sorry, you got to have the camera open.
Well, but at the end of the day, they already know who got in their car and got out.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. So
you also had to sign up through an app, and
yep.
You know, they know who you are when you get in the car.
That's right. That's right. So you wouldn't want to mess up somebody's car. That would be stupid. Somebody's going to do it, but it would be stupid.
It'd be super stupid.
So yeah, you get basically he showed this app that looked to me like what I would expect Uber or Lyft to look like.
Sure.
And you basically have an area around you and you're like, hey, I'm right here. And it says, okay, we can get you a car. There's this many cars around you. Do you want a Model S, Model X, Model 3?
Yeah, like how many people do you have?
Right. And then they'll summons the appropriate car for you and it'll be like beep, boop, boop and take off driving with nobody in it and then come pick you up and then drive you to where you need to go. And I imagine... Spider?
Something flew in the window at me. Probably not a spider. Probably. Not necessarily.
So I imagine you would be able to...
Oh, there it is.
What was it?
Just a little black bug with wings.
So I imagine you'd be able to say, hey, I've got this vehicle. It's going to be in this area. I don't want it to go over X number of miles away from me.
Well, you're also going to be able to say, like... You know, I need it at 11, so make sure it's here at 11 because I have a meeting that I have to get to, or whatever. You're going to be able to set the parameters on when it can leave.
The car can't leave between these hours.
Yeah, and if you don't want anyone in your car, you just never sign up.
Yeah, you don't have to sign up, but it's a cool potential. It's
super cool.
He was saying by 2020, the end of 2020, they predict that they're going to have 1 million cars in the Robotaxi service because they don't have to put them out, right? Here's the other twist. They don't have to put them out because you could be an owner. It's not like they're like a taxi service where they have to go out and purchase all these vehicles and just set them around randomly. But here's the other thing. It's interesting. So the Model 3, they just changed the leasing terms on this. So if you go to lease a Model 3 now, you can't buy it at the end of the lease because they want them back in service to be robotaxis. So 4 or 5 years from now, there could be a huge fleet of Model 3s that are just like stationed throughout the city in parking lots that are
no one owns. I mean,
that are Tesla parking lots, and you basically, okay, I'm gonna summons it. Here it comes from the Tesla parking lot to pick you up, and then I need the car by 3. It shows up at the front door at 3. You get in it, drives you where you need to go. You're done. It goes back to the parking lot. It's crazy.
Again, big goofy grin with no words. It's so cool.
2020.
This makes me want to, like, I don't have any car loans right now, but this makes me want to go just buy a Tesla.
See, it doesn't even make me want to buy one because I'll just do the little ride-share thingy.
Well, no, I want to be the one making the money.
Oh, yeah.
If I buy a $50,000 Tesla and I can make $30,000 a year, I don't even need to drive the thing. I can just let it park somewhere.
What about test drives? Say you're just interested in buying a Tesla, right? And you're like, you know what? I'm going to sign up for this thing. I'm gonna I want to get a Model S over here. I want to see what it's like. I'm going to summons one to my house. It's like their own showroom. If you have any question on whether or not you want to buy one, you just basically summons the model that you want to look at. Even if you're not going to drive it, you just pay whatever it is to get the Tesla to you, like $5. Look at it, go for a nice little ride around wherever you want to go, drive you back to where you want, send it back home. $20. You just like reviewed a car and
I didn't have to talk to the dealership.
Right. You're like, okay, I like that one. It's kind of a cool idea.
Speaking of, I just brought up something that I hadn't yet thought of. So, who was it? I think maybe it was Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Mm-hmm. Might have been someone else, but that type of program.
Yeah. Person talking to a camera, telling stuff.
With facts and comedy and opinions, and you can't tell where the lines are between the three. They were talking about just the way that cars are sold in America, mm-hmm. and that we could probably buy cheaper cars, except that the dealerships are linked up with the car manufacturers, and you can't just go to Walmart and buy a car. And if you could, they'd be cheaper. Right. And blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I assume Tesla has dealerships. I've never seen one. How do you buy a Tesla, dude?
You go on the internet.
See?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think they have like Tesla. I think they actually have like Tesla stores. I don't think they call them dealerships because I don't know how it works. I know they've got used lots.
Because you can't go on the internet and buy a car. I know we said that you could go on Amazon and buy a car, but you cannot. You can buy engines for cars.
Well,
but not actual cars.
I still don't know if I believe that.
They wanted.
I swear I saw a car on there. Did you know that, speaking of electric vehicles and cars on Amazon, did you know that they have invested money in, I can't remember the name of it. It starts with an R, but it's a truck that's supposed to be released like in 2020. I think it's like Rev or something. I can't remember, but it looks pretty cool. Did you pull it up there?
I'm working on it.
But yeah, they're
Rivian.
So they're invested heavily in this vehicle, this truck.
Ford joins Amazon investing in electric truck maker Rivian. Rivian.
It's a cool truck. I'm excited to see trucks come into electric. I think when that happens, and just like with the cars, when they put them up against other fast cars,
right,
and they smoke them, it made people say, you know what, I like cars, I like fast cars, this car's really fast.
Right.
It's faster than all of my gasoline cars out there. I want this car now. I think the same thing will happen with trucks. Now, I think there's going to be like some type of a use case for, a gas or a diesel truck, just because.
They have a truck and an SUV.
Oh, I didn't know that.
R1T and R1S.
Very cool.
I mean, doesn't that look like an SUV to you?
It does look like an SUV. So I think whenever these trucks and SUVs really start hitting the market from all these different companies, it's going to be interesting to see what the electric world is like in several years.
Yeah.
But I like this self-driving stuff, and the fact that, this is another thing that happened. Elon Musk got up there and basically said any company that is using LiDAR as their main thing to do self-driving is destined to fail.
And I may be wrong here, but if memory serves, and this is from a few years ago, I think that accident that I was talking about was a LiDAR problem.
I don't think Tesla... The cars have never had LiDAR.
Okay.
Now,
then
his
they were
spaceships
using
have LiDAR.
Then they were using radar. Because I remember researching about all of that when it happened, and radar versus LiDAR, and what's the difference. And so I just got confused.
They have 12 sensors on them, which use like a radar type technology.
Okay.
Basically bouncing waves off of things to detect distance. But apparently Elon Musk is not against LiDAR. He just thinks that it's a insane thing to use for vehicles. He gave his reasons. He just basically was like, it's not a good system for vehicles. He says it works great for spacecraft. And so apparently he put it on his Falcon spacecraft that docked with the space station not too long ago. But it wasn't regular LiDAR. It was Tesla's totally reinvented LiDAR.
How many papers do you think he had to sign before he could dock his spaceship to the International Space Station?
No idea.
Isn't that insane?
How do you even get permission to do that?
That's how you know he's an alien. He's the only person other than the governments of the world that's just like, International Space Station, that's where I hang out. I mean, I know he didn't go, but like his ship did.
Yeah, his ship. Dude, the guy is like, he is making huge advanced steps in the car manufacturing and self-driving electric car industry, and he's got a crazy space shuttle type stuff.
You know what else he's got? His rate of sending stuff up into space versus how many times his stuff blows up is way lower than NASA's.
Oh, yeah. And he reuses his stuff, too.
Yeah.
Lands his stuff vertically.
Vertically. It just sits down. I'm done. I'm going to sit here.
The people that are working on both the vehicles and the spacecrafts for his company, I can't even fathom how smart these people are.
Yeah.
They've got to be the best of the best in their industry.
Yeah. And he can pay them more than NASA, so they go to him instead of NASA. I was watching a thing on like planet hunters recently, and this I felt so bad for him, but this scientist had a theory on how you could find planets, and he had this thing get built, and he talked to NASA about getting it sent up into space because it was some sort of telescope.
Awesome.
So I was watching this thing recently on planet hunters.
Okay.
And the scientist had a theory on how you could find planets based on, how close they are to stars and wobble of stars and that sort of thing. And so
I've heard of that.
So he and a team built a telescope that was not a land-based telescope. It needed to go into space. And so he talks to NASA and they say, hey, we've got this ship going up. And he's super nervous because NASA spaceships blow up all the time.
Right, and that whatever telescope is probably super duper expensive.
Super duper expensive. It's the only way that I can prove my theory. And I'm in a race against other scientists who have competing theories. Like, this is how I make my name. And now I'm trusting you not to break my toy, right? Guess what happened?
No.
It blew up.
I hope he had insurance on it at least. Because I couldn't even imagine, like, how much that thing costs. And then how much it costs to even get it on the rocket space shuttle thing.
Right. How much do you have to pay NASA for them to take your stuff into space? Think how much a plane ticket costs. Now imagine space. No.
One space shuttle launch uses more fuel than I've ever used in a single, like, in my lifetime of flying.
And a more expensive fuel.
Yes. Oh, jeez. That's hilarious.
So, anyway, now we've got Tesla, and he's got rockets that sit down when they're done.
Yeah, I don't understand how they got the logic of all that stuff to work.
It's just science and math at the end of the day, and it's whether or not you have enough money to perfect it, right?
Or the brain power.
Or the brain power.
I mean, there's some smart people doing this stuff. I'm excited about this just because, my kids will be driving.
Your kids will be not driving. Maybe.
Soon, and them not having to drive, or me knowing that there are more vehicles on the road that are probably going to be safer.
Sure.
Makes me feel better.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't feel like this is a reality that in a year's time we could see this actually happening.
We can cut this later if you decide to, but you've seen Armageddon?
Mm-hmm.
Like, seen it enough to really know what I'm talking about?
Maybe.
Okay. Do you remember when they find out about the asteroid or meteor, whichever it is, the big rock, and they're getting ideas from the scientists?
Yeah.
And the one comes in with a little model, and he flips out that, like, aluminum foil, and he's like, Mylar sails will catch these solar wind. Anytime we talk about space, I picture that guy talking in the most nerdy way possible, just like so happy and confident.
Yeah.
That he's gonna say,
I can do it.
And then you look around the table and they're just like,
But in reality, I think that that's like the most legit thing.
no, right?
The way that they did it by putting a nuclear bomb on there would murder all of us.
With non-astronauts.
Isn't it Bruce Willis?
Bruce Willis.
He can do anything.
And Batman.
And that song, Aerosmith.
Yeah. Don't wanna close my eyes.
Yep, that one.
That one.
But anyways, that's self-driving.
Yay.
So, other news, and not so impressive technology. That's just in, see? Poor Samsung. Gosh dang it. You know what? If there's anything that I was pulling for on Samsung, it was this folding technology.
It was literally our first episode.
Right. But
we were excited.
I know. We were so excited. We were like, we'll see where this goes. Well, now we know.
Apparently it goes in the trash.
Yeah. All of the review units got sent out.
Right.
And they pretty much all broke.
Right.
So there were several things that I found out that were just insane about this phone that you didn't see until these review units came out and started breaking. Apparently there's a lot of like, what is it called? Ingress or egress? Where you have openings in the phone that you can like literally stick things through.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, apparently where it folded at the bottom and the top of the screen
was hollow.
You could stick something in there, like say a paper clip.
Sure.
Or a bug.
And then when you actually close it, now it's stuck in there and it's not designed to be in there. It's like an old textbook. You know, when you would have to make your own book cover?
Right.
If you wrapped it with your book open, that thing was never shutting.
That's true.
So you had to wrap it with it closed. But then when you open it, you got a flappy.
Yeah, you got a flappy flap.
So that's what they did on their phone.
Yeah, and I guess they had this like last minute, I guess it was last minute from what everybody was saying. When I say everybody, I say the people on the YouTubes.
Oh, the YouTube's people.
It looked like a screen protector.
Yeah, that's the one that I sent you.
People were peeling this off, and when they peeled it off, it literally looked like a little piece of garbage. But what's trippy about it is apparently they have a phone that comes shipped with a similar thing on it that is supposed to be removed.
So the S10, the brand new iPhone 10 competitor, funny that they named it 10, comes with, the same thing that an iPhone comes. It comes with that little thin, kind of, it's not even adhesive on, it's like cling wrap.
Yeah.
You peel it off and you go about your day.
Yeah.
The S10 had that.
Yeah.
And when people got these folds, they saw that and they just instinctively peeled it up. And yeah, it doesn't come off quite as easy, but it still comes off. And then your whole screen goes black.
What was Samsung thinking?
I don't know.
Do you think that they just felt pressured to be first? Like they were like the person on YouTube that comments first and is like, first.
Here's the other thing. I think, they probably got wind that Huawei was coming out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then they go, oh shoot, like ours isn't ready, but we definitely need to be out there either first or right when they release theirs. Otherwise, we're donezo, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you see this a lot in like Civil War torn countries, like with standoffs or whatever, like someone eventually throws the first rock or unfortunately fires the first shot. But like when everyone's just standing there tense and scared, the only thing that's happened is you're tense and scared.
Right.
Like once you send out the unit, well, it's sent.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Except call it back and cancel all of them.
I guess in this case that's what you can do, and that's exactly what they did.
That's what they did.
Here's the thing.
At least it didn't go out, right? To the public.
I guess.
You didn't pay $2,000 for this phone that was going to break in 2 days.
Sure, literally nobody paid for their phone.
Yeah.
Because the only ones that were out there were review units. But I hate on Samsung a lot, but it's because they keep messing up. It's not because I dislike them. I don't like them.
Right.
Like, that's not the thing. They just keep messing up.
Yeah.
And I dog on Siri because she just keeps messing up. Like,
right.
It's not that I inherently hate Siri.
Right.
But she doesn't do what she's supposed to do.
You don't need...
Oh, you did not just answer for that.
She did. Hey, look, she's... Oh, she's sorry.
She's sorry.
Thanks, Siri. But yeah, no, I totally get where you're coming from. You feel like you need this... We want this technology, but we don't want it so bad that... We don't want it as bad as what they think we want it. So it's like, just take a little bit more time. If we have to wait as humans, it's not going to kill us. I think it's because of the society of everybody wants everything right now. That people aren't being patient.
Instant gratification.
This is where I've got to give Apple props, right? So the other week or month or whatever, AirPower got canceled after 2 years.
Yeah.
They could have pulled a Samsung and released this thing and caught fire.
And crossed their fingers.
Yeah, and it could have caught fire. It could have caused other problems. It could have been a $200 charging thing that just broke after a couple days. But instead, they said, it's not good enough. We're not going to do it. And that's exactly what Samsung should have done.
With their Fold.
With their Fold.
I agree.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing. With technology, there is a trust factor. So with Tesla releasing all their automated self-driving cars, if you were seeing on the news or hearing on the news about accidents every other month, would you be excited to sign up for a self-driving car? Of course not.
Nope.
Because there's no trust there.
Right.
But you see them doing this stuff with cars, and it seems to be going well. You also, like we just said, which is a different company technically, but Elon Musk is still behind it. You see the stuff that they're doing with rockets and going to space and coming back with the same rocket.
Yeah.
Not dumping it in the ocean.
Right.
Or leaving it in space. Like it comes back and it lands and you use it again.
Yeah.
Like there's trust there. And we know with Apple and all of their security stuff, like we trust them with certain things. I can't think of something off the top that like I don't trust them about other than Siri.
Yeah.
But like, man, Samsung just keeps making love to the pooch. Leslie Knope.
Leslie Knope. So good. Yeah. Poor Samsung.
I do feel bad for them.
A part of me does, but there's obviously a miscommunication somewhere within the company. Somebody's probably gonna get canned for this, and it's probably not going to be the right person. It's probably going to be the person who, you know, is down the line but not too high up, and the high up person's going to be like, man, whatever.
You know what? It's probably whoever decided to put that plastic coating on there.
They're gone.
Like, they were tasked with coming up with a way to keep the phone from getting scratched, right? And they did.
Yeah.
They came up with a way on the existing device to not scratch the face.
Right.
And they're going to be the ones that are let go because you told me to find something to put on this and I found you something.
Yeah.
It's not my fault you didn't tell people not to peel it off. I told you to tell people not to peel it off.
Exactly. You didn't put the warning on there. You didn't put a sticker right on it that says, don't peel this off. Important.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's Samsung. I partially feel bad for them, but partially don't. R.I.P. Foldy screen. R.I.P. Maybe we'll see you in the future, or Huawei will be successful.
Let's pour one out for folding phones.
So, in Apple news, Apple rumor news, you just got AirPods.
I did.
You did, and I'm assuming that you're still loving them.
Did you see my smile when you said that you just got AirPods?
I did see it.
Have I had them a month? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Man.
Yeah.
Those things are great.
They are good. What's crazy about them, though, is that apparently there's rumor out that Apple's going to release 2 new sets of AirPods this year, or the beginning of 2020.
Separate from the Beats Pod Pro platform? What are they called?
I believe they're called the...
Pods? Beatniks.
Beatniks Pro. No.
Beats Wireless, whatever they're called.
Yeah, the Wireless Beats Pro, I think is what they're called. Golly, I can't remember. But anyways, apparently they're going to have AirPods 3, which are going to have some pretty significant improvements. And apparently they're going to have AirPods Pro, Which
AirPods Pro?
Yeah, which will have even more improvements in it, like possibly noise cancellation. They might be space gray. Not really sure. Don't care about that. But some people think space gray is the way to go. It's great on my phone. I love it on my phone, but...
Before we can continue, I just need to know, Mike, did I buy too soon?
No, you didn't buy too soon. Because
then continue.
Here's the deal. Your AirPods, if you look on the box, it will have, I believe, a copyright date of 2018.
Okay.
They didn't come out till 2019.
Okay.
Apple has been notorious lately of announcing things and then putting them off for a long time.
Hey, we've got an idea.
We've got this thing. We've got this thing, guys.
It's coming. We
It's
promise.
coming. We promise. It's coming. No, it might not. We don't know. We're okay now with canceling things.
Sure.
So, but this is cool rumor. The only downfall is that apparently the AirPods Pro might be extremely expensive, like $250, $300.
Okay, yeah, I bought the right thing.
Yeah. Now the AirPods 3, I would imagine that those are going to fall in line with where the AirPods 2 are, $200.
Are they officially calling what I have AirPods 2?
Yeah.
Then,
Well, that's what people are calling them. They just call them AirPods.
Okay.
So here's my thought is your version without Qi charging is going to be the standard for $160. And then AirPods 3 will be the new Qi charging ones. And AirPods Pro will be the ones that have noise reduction or whatever it is, noise cancellation.
Gotcha.
So that's the rumor for that. So you ready to do crazy tech?
Yeah, but I can't remember my beat. That's why I wrote it down.
Do you need me to help you with your beat?
Here we go.
Okay.
This tech's so crazy. Spending all your money on me. On me.
That was good. You got your beat.
I got my beat.
And I don't know if I remember this exactly, but I think you had told me that. Is that Fergie?
It's actually the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, but she's
No, it's
part
not.
of it, right? What?
It is Fergie. It's Humps. I don't know if it's Fergie or the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh man, now I'm just confused. You don't know.
My humps, my humps, my humps. I think that's Fergie.
Sounds like Fergie.
Sounds like Fergie.
Yeah. So my crazy tech is just something that I've had for a while. I like coffee. I drink a lot, and you're drinking coffee right now, even though it's a bajillion degrees.
The temperature doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Do you eat ice cream in the winter?
Well, yeah, because the temperature doesn't matter.
Right?
So my crazy tech is Keurig came out with a coffee maker, and I can't remember. Oh, I believe it's a Keurig Cafe series. I can't remember the exact model of it, but they came out with it. I've had this for about a year now. Actually, I got it last Father's Day. This thing is amazing. If you like lattes and cappuccinos, yeah, it's the Keurig Cafe series. Yeah, single serve. So basically, what it is it's a regular Keurig machine that also has kind of like a espresso shot setting. You use a regular Keurig coffee pod, and I guess it adds a little bit more pressure to it and makes it a little bit richer flavor. And then
you get the creme.
The creme. Yeah, and then on the side, it's got this little frother. But the frother is really cool because
that's the coolest part of the whole thing.
You think a frother is going to have all of this stuff that's a pain in the butt to clean.
Sure.
It's basically this aluminum cup that has a little like kind of a divot rod like thing, and this little plastic ring sits in it, and it's magnetic.
Okay.
So it just easily pops out. You don't have to worry about popping something in and popping it out and breaking plastic or whatnot. It just sets on this little magnet thing. It's got a little line for cappuccino. It's got a little line for latte.
For how much milk to put in?
You just fill the milk up to whatever you're making. It's got a latte, and it's got a cappuccino button, and it's got a cold button. And if you don't hit the cold button, it makes it hot. So
you can froth milk without making the milk hot?
You can make it cold. So you can literally put cold milk in there, and you can put in milk, and you can put in whatever flavors you want. My kids do this all the time, like caramel and chocolate, and then you can hit cold, and it'll make a cold latte. And so you get your hot coffee, your shots, and then you pour this cold latte, which it actually makes the container cold. Like it's got some type of a coil system in there that cools it down. But then it also can do hot drinks, which is what I prefer. And it'll make a nice little frothy latte cappuccino. Now it's not like Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or coffee shop quality, because this isn't like a $5,000 machine, right? This isn't
it's the size of a Keurig,
it
and it sets on your counter.
But it's nice because I can have nice, like, latte style drinks, put in whatever flavoring I want, and I can make them lower calorie than what I can if I go to like Starbucks or whatever.
For sure. Here's the other thing. I stopped at Come and Go this morning because I was out of gas, and I went inside and I wanted coffee, and I didn't want like the kind, but I also just didn't want coffee.
Yeah,
like,
you didn't want the powder cappuccino.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, if I'm gonna pay for coffee, like, I don't just want black coffee.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it was like, you can have an Irish cream latte. Here's how to make it. And I was like, okay, so fill your cup up with coffee, do a 3-second pour of French vanilla creamer,
Okay.
and then put in 2 squirts of this Irish cream syrup.
Oh.
This thing is trash, and it is still sitting on my desk because I don't... It's too fake.
It's trash.
It's trash, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't put any sugar in it at all, and it is so sweet.
Yeah.
And I even got a medium.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's not like I got it in a small cup or whatever.
Right.
So, anyway, what I was getting at with that is I paid for that, and it wasn't super expensive.
Right.
But, like, I had no idea what it was going to taste like.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
Yeah. Or with this, you can experiment with it at home. So, like,
you can figure out your own
when I first bought it,
special recipes.
I was using like Hershey's caramel syrup.
That sounds awesome.
It was good, but you have to use a lot of it because it's almost like it's not condensed, I guess is the way to put it.
Right, it's not concentrated.
Concentrated, that's it. But then I switched over to those like those syrups.
Like the ones that are designed for...
Yeah, they're probably not good for you, but it's what all the coffee shops use, right? And you use really little. Like I use half a tablespoon. And so it's just half a tablespoon of each flavor. So I use
half a tablespoon?
Yeah, I use caramel and vanilla and put it in the milk, and it mixes it, and then I pour it in my coffee, and it's delicious. And it's like 60 calories, I think. But yeah, that's my crazy tech. I really like it. I paid, I think it was like $180 for it. But sometimes you can find these things as low as like $100. But I think I just saw they were listed for like $200. I don't know what's going on with the price. Maybe they got popular and Keurig is now up in the price.
Maybe this is, maybe it's a different model.
Oh yeah, maybe
with more features.
Yeah, maybe they came out with a new one. But
yeah,
the Keurig Cafe.
Maybe they came out with one that a barista pops up and makes the coffee for you.
I would take that one for $200. Easy. Hey, Keurig, make my coffee.
Hey, like literally.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything.
So what do you got?
I have a follow-up.
Follow-up.
From last week. So I told you I had been researching rifles and had found these red dot optics, and I've continued researching. So red dot is sort of a generic term, and there's also a holographic optic that still uses a red dot, but the science behind it is way different. And so when I told you, you said, how much are they? And I said the $100 to $200 range.
Yeah.
That's for a true red dot.
Okay.
That's LED based. The holographic has lasers.
Oh.
And the red dot is not as precise. So there's something in shooting called a minute of angle, which means at 100 yards you can be within a 1-inch circle.
Okay.
At 200 yards it doubles to a 2-inch circle.
Gotcha.
So that's a minute of angle. The closer you are, obviously, the smaller that is.
Yeah.
As you go out, it gets bigger.
Yeah.
The smallest you can possibly get a red dot is 2 minutes of angle.
Oh, okay.
Most of them are 4.
Oh.
So at 100 yards, they were imposing this dot over a person. And it's stupid because you might have the dot on them and
It wouldn't hit them.
Miss them completely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
it's meant for really close range.
It's meant for really close range. These were originally, as far as I can tell, they were originally invented for handguns.
Okay.
To
that
give
makes
you
sense.
a really quick sight picture on someone who's probably not more than 20 feet from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with the holographic ones, you can get a 1 MOA dot. And then they also have a ring around the outside of them that helps you with ranging and some of that kind of stuff. But anyway, they're much more precise. They're also much more expensive.
How much more?
Roughly double.
Oh,
So
okay.
like the one that was the editor's choice for what I was reading, which you know from bicycles and stuff, the editor's choice is always up there.
Yeah.
But it was for something.
Yeah.
Close to $500. But they had like a sub $400 one or two that they really liked. But anyway, just wanted to kind of follow up on that because I found something that I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But I didn't know quite enough.
Well,
to
it is
talk
really
and-
cool.
No, it is. It's
But
super
it sounds
cool.
like it's more for like handguns, and then this new holographic one that you discovered could be used for possibly rifles.
For actually hunting.
Yeah.
And red dots are always non-magnified, but you can get like a 3x magnifier to put in front of it.
Is that so you can like almost like a mini scope? You can see
Yes.
further, so you're
Yeah.
seeing 3 times further than what you're like. It's like you're 3 times whatever.
Yeah. And so
Science.
here's the funny thing too. You not only make your target bigger, but you make your MOA bigger. So if you have a 2 MOA dot and you put a 3x scope on it, now you're looking at a 6 MOA dot.
Oh.
But with the holographic like projects your dot onto your target. And so when you magnify a holographic 1 MOA dot, you don't actually magnify the dot, you just magnify your target. How cool is that? So you still have 1 MOA when you zoom in.
You know what I say?
What do you say?
Well, that's pretty neat.
That's pretty neat. Anyway,
That's cool stuff.
Yeah, it's
I'm
kinda
learning
neat.
something new.
Yeah.
So that's something that I am getting more interested in, especially with living out in the country, kind of on land, like self-defense and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Home defense, like that type of stuff. It's kind of entering my mind.
Yeah. Well, and Missouri has a stand your ground law, so like, it's not like we're wanting to hunt people or anything.
No.
But especially for your neighborhood, like you have a nice neighborhood, but every lot is at least 10 acres or at least 5 acres.
Some of them are 7.5, but I would say the majority of them are over 10.
There's some good space between you and your neighbor, and you have a nice house.
Yeah.
To me, that's a target.
Yeah, if somebody were to come to my house, they have intent of something.
Yeah. You've got a long driveway. Your house itself is well lit, but you don't have street lights around
Right.
and all of that sort of thing.
Right.
Like, yeah, you could potentially be a target based on where you are and based on proximity and based on lighting and all of that stuff. So yeah, you don't.
Yeah. It's different.
You've also got young girls.
Yeah.
Young girl, like.
Got to keep them boys away.
Well. Yeah, that's. I don't know. My son and daughter are twins, so obviously they're the same age. But I already worry so much more about my daughter than I do my son.
Yeah.
Just because
it's just natural.
Boys are brought up to protect girls.
Yeah. Well, that seems normal.
Yeah.
Seems normal.
So.
Well, cool. I think that will do it for us. What do you think?
Got
anything else?
I think that's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I think we can probably say that's it for the day. That's my Kip Dynamite.
I like
from
it.
Napoleon.
It's hilarious.
You're bruising my neck meat.
Yeah, that movie is awesome.
Such a throwback.
Oh my god.
Such a throwback.
Idiot.
You freaking idiot.
All right. Why don't you?
We could quote for the next 20
Why don't
minutes.
you tell them where they can find us?
Oh, you can find us on the web at LunchTimeTechTalk.com. There you can browse show notes and listen to previous episodes. And I guess depending on when you're listening to this, you can technically listen to future episodes, even though it's only future to us and it's current to you, because time is a flat disk.
Oh my gosh.
You can.
Unless you're in the middle of a black hole.
Oh, snap. Hey, there was a picture of a
I
black
know.
hole recently.
I know. We're going to go off on a tangent. We got to save that one.
Okay. You can find us on Twitter at LunchTimeTechT1. You can find us on Instagram and FaceTime at LunchTimeTechTalk.
FaceTime?
FaceTime? Facebook?
Oh, the book. I see what you're saying.
The Book of Faces.
Yeah.
Not the time of faces. You can also find us on YouTube at Lunchtime Tech Talk. You can find me all over the place at MSU Mac. That's MSUMACC. Mike, where you at?
Twitter?
Twitter.
Yep. At run_bike_Mike. Instagram at runbikemike. And YouTube at runbikemike.
YouTube.
Yep. Think that'll do it.
All right. Thanks
See
for
ya.
spending your lunch with us, guys. Bye.
Bye.